I never thought my daughter would end up at the center of a scandal that would rock our entire neighborhood. She's only 12, and yet somehow her photo taken in secret at the community pool got passed around like evidence in some kind of criminal case. And the woman behind it, all the vice president of our HOA, the one who thought she was untouchable, eventually had signs taped to her own street calling her a predator. That's how far it went. That's how far I had to push before the truth finally came out. My name's Ethan. I've lived in Sable Glen Estates for a decade, and I work in cybersecurity. I moved here after my wife passed away, thinking this was the kind of place that would give my daughter Ellie stability. Manicured lawns, HOA patrols, pool passes with barcodes. It looked safe, but appearances lie. The first time I realized something was wrong was the day I walked out to my car and found a violation notice slapped to my windshield like a scarlet letter. Bright yellow, bold letters. Unsupervised pool activity, second offense. Second offense. Ellie barely breaks curfew on school nights, let alone pool rules. Then I saw it. The photo. A zoomed-in shot of Ellie adjusting her towel at the pool. Perfectly clear, steady frame, not from the HOA's wide-angle cameras, but from something closer, something personal. I felt sick. That wasn't security, that was surveillance. And I knew exactly whose hands it came from. Barbara Densley, HOA vice president, the queen of control. She strutted past me like she'd just stamped out a pest. I couldn't help myself. I said loud enough for porches to creak open. That camera above the clubhouse gate isn't HOA property, and the files you're saving, they're traceable. She froze for a second, then kept walking, heels clicking like she owned the place. People peeked through blinds. For the first time, she didn't look invincible. But here's the truth. People like Barbara count on silence. They count on neighbors shrugging, saying, "It's just the rules." And for a moment I almost did. Then another letter showed up. Cream envelope, no stamp. Inside was worse, a formal warning claiming child endangerment and threatening to suspend my family from every community amenity for 90 days. Ellie's name bold across the top like she was some criminal defendant. My daughter was being banned from her own pool, her own park. I sat at our kitchen table staring at that paper. And I'll be honest, I broke. I thought about caving. Maybe if I stopped pushing, maybe if I just shut up, Barbara would leave us alone. Maybe my neighbors would stop looking at me like I was causing trouble. Maybe Ellie wouldn't have to feel like she was wearing a scarlet letter every time she walked down the street. Have you ever felt that like your only way to protect your kid is to give up your dignity? That's where I was. Then Ellie walked in. She saw the paper even though I tried to hide it. She mumbled, "Dad, I didn't even get in the pool this time." Her voice cracked. She looked smaller than I'd ever seen her. And in that second, the guilt I felt turned to something sharper. No, this wasn't about me overreacting. This wasn't about her breaking rules. This was about someone with power abusing it and doing it through my child. That was the line. And here's the thing about me, I don't just trace code, I trace patterns. So I pulled up the metadata from that violation photo, and it confirmed what I suspected. The image didn't come from HOA's official servers. It came from a Gmail account, Barbara's personal Gmail, a sloppy trail leading to her private cloud. And in that cloud, folders upon folders, each labeled with neighbors' last names, each full of pictures of their kids. Kids at the pool, at the bike racks, tying shoes, fixing hair. Innocent moments, but kept sordid stored. For what? For persuasion. For leverage. Tell me if you found your kid's face in a folder like that. What would you do? Walk over to her house and demand answers? Call the cops? Or would you like me? Realize you've only got one shot to expose her before she covers her tracks. I wasn't alone. Miguel, my neighbor, showed up with his own violation letter, his crime a camera on his own garage. Another dad said his son got flagged for standing too close to the gate. Anyone who spoke up against Barbara, suddenly they were targets. The pattern was undeniable. But I still needed proof that no one could spin. That's when Janelle showed up. She was new on the board 6 months in, and I'd noticed her looking sick every time Barbara talked. One night she knocked on my door, hoodie pulled over her face, hands trembling. She handed me a flash drive. Barbara records all the board's private sessions, she said. She edits the minutes. I kept copies. I plugged it in. The first file was chatter chairs creaking, then Barbara's voice clear as day. If we don't control the pool, we lose the only leverage we have. The second. These photos matter. Parents don't care until their kid's image is at stake. I don't keep them for safety. I keep them for persuasion. The third A, laugh. Cold. By the time they realize what I've collected, it'll be too late. They'll back down. That's how you shape compliance. I sat back jaw tight. These weren't rules, these were threats, and she wasn't protecting anyone. She was building a weapon one photo at a time. That was it. I wasn't doubting myself anymore. I wasn't scared. I was ready to burn it all down. I printed flyers with QR codes linking to a teaser of her metadata. I slipped them under windshields before dawn. Parents started whispering in the Facebook group. A reporter agreed to publish the story the second I gave the green light. And just in case Barbara tried to bury me, I set up a dead man's switch on my laptop. If I didn't log in within 72 hours, every single file would go public. Friday night, the clubhouse was packed. I mean shoulder-to-shoulder strollers and the back teens filming on their phones. Usually, HOA meetings were donuts and maybe 10 bored retirees. This time, it was the whole damn neighborhood. Barbara walked in like she still owned the place. Bright coral jacket, pearls, clipboard tight in her arms. She smiled at the crowd like she was the star of the show. "Good evening," she began. "Tonight we'll be voting on much-needed safety upgrades, including license plate scanners and expanded surveillance near the playground." That's when Janelle stood. Calm, steady. "I have a statement." The room hushed. Barbara blinked, thrown off. Janelle's voice wavered, but she didn't sit down. "For 6 months I've been shown images, emails, and reports that did not meet the standards of this community. Photos of minors stored without consent. Emails forwarded to non-HOA servers. Metadata proving files were kept in private cloud accounts. This was never about safety. It was about control." Gasps, shouts. A dad in the back stood up and yelled, "That's my kid's name on those files!" Phones shot into the air recording everything. Barbara snapped back baseless lies. "This man has a vendetta." She pointed at me like she was expecting the crowd to nod along. That's when I stood up, held the flash drive high. "This," I said, my voice steady, "is every action you've taken for the past year. Verified, time-stamped, legally archived." All eyes shifted to me, for once not her. Janelle didn't back down. "You uploaded from your personal Gmail. I saw the logs." Barbara hissed, "Sit down." And Janelle fired back louder this time. "Not anymore." The room exploded. Parents surged forward, shouting over each other. A mom waved one of my flyers in the air. Another man yelled, "You showed pictures of my daughter." The crowd was a storm, and Barbara was drowning in it. Her bored allies tried to look anywhere but at her. Finally, one of them stood and said, voice shaking, "I move to suspend Vice President Densley, effective immediately." Barbara spat. "You don't have the authority." Another member rose. 3 against 1. That's enough. And that was it. 2 security officers stepped forward. Not cops, but enough to make it real. "Ma'am, we need you to step outside," one said. Barbara's eyes darted around, desperate for support. No one stood. Not this time. As she passed me, she leaned in and whispered, "This isn't over." I didn't flinch. "Yes, it is." And just like that, the doors closed behind her. Power built on fear collapses the moment people stop being afraid.